think we've got everybody in now.
All right. Well, then I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Graylobe,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Teasy,
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
All right. Any conflict of interest to declare? Right. Hearing none, we can go on to the approval of the agenda. And I know that Lane would like to talk about a hazmat grant. Anything else to add to the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And the first item on the agenda is Laura Hollenbeck.
Oh,
Here.
minutes.
Oh, sorry, minutes. Wow, okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
To approve the minutes.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Laura. Quarterly report. Forgot to get these in the packet. All right, well, it looks like you've been busy. Thanks.
Okay, since the last time I've been here, my quarterly report is in your packet. It's this one. The dates and the photos. We participated in trunk or treat. There was about 650 kids that came through that day, so that was really good. We had a recognition event in November that kind of wrapped up our previous 4-H year, and now through the winter here, we've just been working on getting things prepped and ready for activities and workshops that are going to happen in 4-H world this next year. We've already started planning things for the fair and other activities and trainings that we need to get done. So it's been busy. The paper that I just handed out to you, I realized that I had not brought that down to you guys yet. This one is our last 4-H year. So our 4-H year runs from October to the end of September. So this is 2021 to 2022, our county impact snapshot. And you can see that I've chosen just 4 different areas that 4-H concentrates in and chosen one thing to highlight from each of those areas. So you guys can read those and take a look at some of the great things that our 4-H youth are doing in our county. And the last thing I have is that we are currently selling 4-H fruit. So if you guys are interested in buying any fruit, I have a form here. Travis's girls are selling, and so is Nicole's daughter upstairs is selling 4-H fruit also. So that's kind of all I have for you guys today. If you guys have any questions, comments?
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Much appreciated the work you do. Next item on the agenda is Rachel Gackel from MMA on our insurance. So I think Rachel is online.
Yes, hello, everybody. How are you?
Well, good morning.
Welcome.
Good. I'm sorry I can't join you in person. I actually have a head cold and felt like it was best to stay away from everybody. So can you all see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. And I will send this information out to Carrie after the meeting so that you all have a hard copy. My plan today is to review your Wellmark of South Dakota renewal and then the dental vision, the employer paid life, voluntary life, and the short and long-term disability products. First, I did provide a little bit of benchmarking information. I thought that you might be interested. This is our Marsh McLennan of Dakotas. So this will include employers in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, a little bit in Nebraska, a little bit in Minnesota. So this is all of our clients, and this here is looking at plan design benchmarking. So if we're working our way across, the blue would be all of our clients. The orange would be where Clay County's plan designs fall within our benchmark. So, our average deductible is about $2,000 to $2,500. That $3,000 deductible, that's a healthy mix between high deductible health plans, which you'll typically see a starting point of about $3,500. And then there's also copay plans built in there. So you'll notice that Clay County, you still offer a very rich benefit. And then this would be your individual deductible, the employee deductible, and this would be your family deductible. So still offering a very rich benefit. Our most common copay deductible would be that $1,500, which is right where you are. Our most common high deductible is $2,800. Although my client base, I'm starting to see it inch up closer to $3,000 or $3,500. Our clients have an average of 2.1 plans that they offer. Clay County currently offers just the one plan. And of those 2.1, we typically see one high deductible health plan offered with it. So 47% of our clients are offering a high deductible health plan. And of those 47%, 76% of them are offering a health savings account to go with it. And then they're contributing $500 annually for the employee, $800 for the family. If I look at this office visit co-sharing, the bigger the circle, the more common the copay amount. So you guys do have a common office visit copay. This would be primary care. So, family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, and then specialty copay at $50. That's going to be your cardiology, pulmonology, and so forth. The bottom right is pharmacy cost sharing. You'll notice that your copays are right in alignment, if not a little richer, once you get to tier 2 and tier 3. Next page, we'll talk about employer contribution benchmarking. Is there any questions on this page here? No? Okay. So this again is looking at the average employer contribution versus employee cost. So employee only, as you're well aware, Clay County picks up 100% of the employee premium. So of our clients, those that are in the 25th percentile, their employees are paying $69 per month. On average, employees pay $158 per month. And again, you guys are covering the full cost. So leading the market with the employee premium. When you get to family, however, you are lagging a little. So the employee pays $1,592, whereas our average employee for family plans pay $832 per month. Any questions on this?
I do have one, Rachel.
Yeah,
This
that's,
is Travis.
Yeah.
Where do we fall in based on employers who do pay the full premium for their employees? I mean, you're showing us with all your customers.
Correct.
Because you're telling us we're lacking on the family side, but when it comes to an employer who pays the whole deductible or the whole premium, where do we fit in at?
So most of the time when I see an employer that's picking up 100% of the employee premium, they're taking that dollar value and shaving it off of the family premium or the other plans, I should say, employee spouse, employee children, family, which is exactly what you guys are doing there. Or it looks like you're contributing $784 if I'm on this gray line. So Travis, to answer your question, that is in alignment with what we would typically see. If you're running into recruitment or retaining issues with employees, we have seen some employers where they will contribute, an additional amount to employee children or that family tier. A lot of employers are leaning away from contributing more to the employee spouse. They want to encourage spouses to take their own medical plan.
Rachel, I
Yeah.
just kind of wanted to correct something on that, what is it, 1592 there? We actually do pay 50% of the family. So we will pay whatever portion of the employee premium, so $795, it looks like.
Yep.
And then 50% of the rest of the premium that would be for the family.
Okay, so 50% of the
employee ends up-
difference.
Yeah, the employee ends up paying around $800.
Okay.
Something.
And just to clarify, is that for only the family premium or is that for all others?
It's for all the others too. So like if an
All
employee
others,
plus
okay.
spouse, then we pay 50% of like the spouse, employee plus child, we'd pay 50% of the child too.
Okay, sorry for that. I can get that fixed for you guys. All right, so if that's the case, if your employee, if the family cost for the employee is 800, you're right within that benchmark. So moving on to the Wellmark renewal, here is your current plan overview. Again, your individual deductible is $1,500. The out-of-pocket max is $3,000. Copays, the max that they're going to pay for tier 1, which would be your generic drugs, that's a $15 copay, and so forth. So again, these payroll deductions are probably not accurate. So we will get all of that updated and sent back out to you guys. The Wellmark renewal. So Wellmark gave you a 4.74% increase. Last year, you got a 2.88% increase. So how Wellmark's underwriting works is they give you a base rate change for all of their groups with 51 to 100 employees, an automatic 7.5%. So that's where you start with Wellmark. They then take into consideration underwriting and group considerations. So your loss ratio is under what they would like to see. So you're running well still. It has elevated since last year, and that's why you're seeing only a negative 1.24 from the 7.5. The other would be they adjusted a half of a point for your demographics, where they're looking at age, gender, contract type. So underwriters like to see children. They're generally healthy. They're, most likely getting their annual exams on a consistent basis, whereas adults tend to delay. So for children, right now you have 6 employee plus children contracts and 4 family contracts. So a good mix of children on your plan. They did not give you any credit or any ding per se for your plan value. Family composition, they gave it almost a half of a point there. And then the PPO network, so your utilization of their network, they subtracted a negative 1.10. So that's where they're coming up with that 4.74. I will tell you that in the small group market, or mid-market, I should say, that 51 to 100, as I look back at all of my 1/1 renewals, we were looking anywhere from 5 to 9%. So here again is the plan highlight. So no plan design changes. The only difference would be in the rates, obviously. So that 4.71% increase. So the employee cost, there's the difference there. On the next page, though, I have the employer contribution. So what this increase means to you. This would be status quo, your current April 1, 2022 rates. What we did then was we plugged in the 2023 rates and applied the same contribution percentages. So 0%, 50, 46. Again, you guys, this we need to get updated to reflect the percentages that were shared, the 50% to all others. I have a feeling that when Christy tried to run this, it wasn't working appropriately. So I wonder if that's where the questions go. So again, you're looking at that 4.7% increase. And what I can do is get this updated, and I can always buzz down for your next commission meeting to show you the most accurate numbers. Or if you prefer me email them out, I can do that too. It's whatever you guys prefer. So this is where you'd be looking. Again, this is not accurate numbers, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but looking at that 4.7% increase, how much the employee takes on versus the employer. Okay, so I referenced your loss ratio, how you were running earlier. Wellmark would like to see an 85% target loss ratio. You were running at a 51% back in 2020. That increased last year to a 75%, and then down to a 68% this year. However, when we look at claims experience, they're looking at the subscribers. So in 2020, you had 70 members, 47 subscribers. So the difference in subscribers and members is members would be belly buttons. So total people on your plan. Subscribers would be how many contracts. So you have gone up a bit in your member count, and just a couple of contracts there in your subscriber count. However, you'll notice that the claims cost, so back in 2020 for medical, it was $357.50 per member per month. It went up last year to $522.88. This year it's down a little to $484.20. The big thing here is when we look at your high cost claims report, is you have a handful of recurring high cost claims that are still on your plan from 2020 up to 2022. And so what Wellmark is doing is, when they look at group considerations, they're looking at how you're currently running, but they're also looking at how many of these high cost claims are going to be a year over year expense. So if it is all caps, such as this first one, that means that it's a pharmacy claim. If it's lowercase, such as the third one down, the osteoarthritis, that would be medical claims. So you do have a mix there of pharmacy expense and medical expense. What we would typically expect to see is pharmacy taking up 30% of your claims cost and medical taking up 70%. However, we're starting to see a shift in the market where it's getting closer to 50-50, and that's most likely due to the increased costs in the pharmaceutical world. So you've got, quite a laundry list of high cost claims, any of them ranging from $10,458 all the way up to $85,106. Down in the orange here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are recurring claimants. So again, Wellmark is looking at your experience, and while you're running well right now, you have 5 people that are on their radar that at any point, could have something exacerbate their illness or their condition per se. Any questions on this? Okay, so that's the medical. There are obviously alternate plan design options through Wellmark. I don't know if that's something that you guys would like me to come present. There is an option. If I stop sharing here and share a new screen, I can show you there. If you bump up your deductible from 1,500, and let me try and make this bigger for you guys. Okay, that's not looking like it. So right now the highlighted is what you have. It's that $1,500 deductible. If you bumped up to a $2,000 deductible, it would decrease the employee cost from $798 to $752. So a decent chunk there of savings to the county. And then all the way up to the family, right now the total premium is $2,489.90. It would drop down to $2,309. So overall, a negative 2.72% increase to the total premium.
Yeah.
So what I could do, if you all are interested in looking at that alternate, is I can come back down to the next meeting and go in more detail about what that alternate plan design looks like and the impact on the employee and employer from a cost perspective. I have several clients who would be tickled to get a 4% increase for the year. However, I know that with the economy the way that it is, there's other employers that are trying to cut costs. So I'll be quiet on the medical and let you guys give me your thoughts on what you would like to see.
Yeah, this is Lane Stewart. I've got just a question on the $2,000 deductible. What's the max out of pocket?
So the $2,000 deductible, the max out of pocket for the individual is $4,000. So right now it's $3,000. And then for the family, it goes to $8,000. Right now it's $6,000.
All right, thank you,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure I'm number 1 or number 2 on your watch list, so.
Okay,
uh, Deductible doesn't necessarily bother me, it's the max
Yep.
out that I look at, so. Thank
absolutely.
you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so we've got at least 1 or 2 members who would be very interested in hearing the the options if you're willing to come down to the next meeting.
Yes, absolutely. I'll work with Carrie on getting on the agenda. A couple more.
It
Oh,
would
sorry.
be great. Yeah, it would be great to get the revised paperwork on this too before the meeting, because it's kind
Yes.
of hard even to ask questions unless you've had some time with the data. So if we can get the data in advance of the meeting that you come to, that would be great. I think people will have questions.
Absolutely, I can do that. Yep.
Super.
So for the ancillary, we've got the dental vision, the employer paid life, voluntary life, short and long-term disability. So, again, since COVID, we are seeing increases in the market, increased claims, increased utilization. The standard originally released the dental renewal at a 9%. However, we were able to negotiate it down to a 4%. Market trend, what I saw with my 1/1 renewals was anywhere from a 5 to an 8% increase on the dental. On this page here, we have the current rate at $38.84. The renewal rate would be $40.40 per month. On the side here, it shows how many contracts you have. So 7 employee, 2 employee spouse, 2 employee children, 4 family. And then the 4% reflected there. For vision, the original renewal was released at a 9%. We were able to negotiate that to a 6.9. Again, market trend, we're seeing anywhere from a 6% to an 8%. So you've got 9 employee contracts, 2 employee spouse, 1 employee children, 2 family. Again, the current rate is 9.92. The renewal rate would be $10.60. Family 27.32. The new renewal rate would be $29.20. Short-term disability. This was originally released. So actually it wasn't originally. So it was a 9.7% increase. The approximate increased cost to Clay County would be $1,200 annually. The reason for this is they had a reduction. There should be a negative for male lives. And then they had an increase in 3 female lives for enrollment. So typically an increase in female lives is a negative. It's an increased risk in the carrier's eyes due to maternity leaves. So that's why you're seeing that 9.7% increase. And their renewal does include a 2-year rate guarantee as well. So this would lock in the rates for 2 years. Basic life insurance. So this is the $15,000 policy that all benefit eligible employees receive. This is paid by Clay County, and this got a flat increase. And it also includes a 2-year rate guarantee. So you're locked in for 2 years, no increase in cost. The voluntary life insurance. So this is the additional supplemental life insurance that employees can purchase on their own. This also has a 0% increase and includes the 2-year rate guarantee. Dental and vision renew every single year. That's just standard for those markets. So that's all I have there. Any questions for me? No, okay. So like I said, we'll get those slides updated and get those sent out to Carrie. In the meantime, I will work with Carrie to get on your next schedule, and hopefully we'll be healthy and able to come see the whites of your eyes. It's usually easier to have conversations like this in person. But I will come with a couple of plan alternates and update your contribution towards premiums. So if nobody has any questions, I'll get out of your hair.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. If you come up with any other questions, just send them Carrie's way, and otherwise I will get you this information prior to our next meeting.
Great. Thanks so much. We'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Just for Dave and Jeffrey, so we don't pay vision and dental. That's why the numbers of enrollment aren't on, just so you're aware of what we do and don't. All right.
All right, Rod Polly, you're on. The resolution for weight enforcement.
We do this every year. We have to ask the South Dakota Highway Patrol to help us enforce our weight limits in the spring, and if we don't put them on, they can take our funding away for bridges, roads, any program that we're eligible for. They kind of hold you to the fire. They're not gonna help you pick stuff up if you're not gonna help protect it. So this is something we do every year. Pretty much everything stays the same unless you guys have something different in mind. The hard surface roads are all 6 ton. The gravels are 7 ton, but then we also added to the hard surface and the gravel roads, they can't exceed 80,000 pounds. Cause a couple years we had vehicles with 50 axles. I mean, and they were hauling for the county, supplies and so that kind of keeps everybody in a range where our roads can hold it. And with the looks of the snow we're getting, it could be interesting this spring on when it gets put in. I'll try to give you a heads up. But this goes in and then we put an ad in the paper that says anytime from now till spring, we're ready to go. We can go out and put up the signs. So we try to give the public notice before everything happens, but just need you guys to vote to approve it.
I'll move to approve resolution 2023-03.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Actually, we need a and A, I believe.
Oh.
You need a roll call?
Resolution. It says that.
Oh, it's-
anyway.
Oh, you need a roll call?
Yeah.
Vote of the county commission's got counts A and A on. in
Yeah,
the
but-
resolution here, so
It'll be
that-
5, it'll be 5-0.
5-0.
Okay.
5
okay.
A's,
I
0
didn't-
nays.
Okay. I never noticed that before, so I didn't know.
It's when it's got us listed
Oh, gotcha.
as
Oh.
individuals, then it's
Okay.
roll call.
So propane quotes.
Well, I don't know, did you have the letter to the highway patrolman also on there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we did it both the time, same test. Okay. Yeah,
No.
Oh, well, we only did the resolution, so we need a motion to have the chairman. Have the chairwoman sign
yeah.
The letter to the
We
motor
we
carrier.
just need it signed.
Okay,
so I'll move to authorize Betty to sign the letter to the or the motor carrier division.
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Yeah, and then we have propane quotes. I believe one was
We only got one.
one,
I think there were 2 sheets that looked the same.
yeah.
And I
guess it
couldn't
was. I thought
tell.
it was, one's for Wakanda, one's for Vermillion.
Right.
But nobody wants to give us a price, nobody can make it. So we only had one call back. One wouldn't answer and one, they weren't available to deliver. So it was Butch's.
So
Yeah,
Move to approve the single quote from Butch's
for both shops.
for both shops. Yeah.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I couldn't, I couldn't quite read whether those were 4s or 9s.
1749.
1749,
Oh, yeah.
is that what it
Is
is?
that what it is?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
1749.
Okay. So
Yeah, that is a
1749.
little, I gotta
Yep,
get
I was
my-
reading that as 1799.
make it a little more distinct.
Okay, so 1749. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. And
And that's all I have for my end, except for, I guess I should introduce myself, Rod Polly, Highway Superintendent. Talked to both of you, I believe, one time or another, so look forward to working with you.
Move to go into ditch board. Second.
There's a motion and a second to go into ditch board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, we're in ditch board.
So we've got a contract with Alteg for the clean out on Clay Creek. I think we just need to sign it to accept the bid, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Yeah.
Oh, Brad, you're on.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, so what that is, so that is a construction contract with the Two Rivers construction to do their phase. That's the non-FEMA phase of it. So yeah, it just needs a signature. And then if Carrie, if you could scan that back to me and I'll take care of everything else.
And it looked to me like it was pretty much like what we discussed earlier. Is that right, Brad?
Yes.
Move to approve the contract?
It's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
She's
a-
he's running this
Yeah,
meeting.
I've got this one. So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So is this, what does this contract consist? Just tree removal?
Sloughs, whatever's in that creek.
Yeah, there's some sloughs also, trees and sloughs.
Okay, but he's not planning on starting anytime soon, right?
Yeah, he was talking, but he's not.
No,
Well, because the creek is full,
of snow.
has blowed full of snow now.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning and he said he was gonna go look at it, but it's
Well, if you talk to him again, remind him that if they come out and start, that they probably will have to come back and finish
Yeah.
what they missed.
yes. What they might do is get some of the bigger stuff, but yes, exactly. They'll have to get it all.
And then I got a letter from I need to give it to Carrie, Brad. It's who the payment goes to for Twin Rivers.
Oh, yeah, what that is somehow, he's a new company, so yeah, you pay through that holding company or whatever. That has to do with his bonds, his performance and bonds. Sometimes you see that with a new company because they don't have a big project portfolio to fall back on. Yeah,
So do you have a copy of that, Brad?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that projects with other counties with that contractor, they do the same thing.
So
Sometimes.
I'll give it to Carrie and she can scan you a copy,
Yep,
so you'll
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah, I didn't receive a copy of that, but that's how we paid for the project up on the Volun Oil
Okay.
when he put that culvert in, I believe.
That
yeah,
was the letter
I
that they
believe
were,
we had to send that something different.
Yeah, because I think we sent it and the check came back
Yeah, it was-
and,
Something was,
yeah,
yeah,
and we resent it to the correct place.
yep.
yeah, just as long as he knows the creek is. Up until a couple weeks ago, it was good to go, but. That and the Yankton Clay Ditch are
Full.
blowed full.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes. And Carrie, do you have a copy of that contract?
I do, and actually, I think I gave Betty the signature page. I
Oh,
just
okay.
lumped them all together for all the things today.
Anything else, Brad, for?
I could give you a little update on the other project, the FEMA one. So I talked to Latoya, Bell. A day or so ago, And so that one is almost approved, I think. So evidently there's a few steps and there's one more left. She says that it'll come through the system that they have for FEMA projects, but I'll visit with her anyway. And then when that one is done, I will put together the contract for Weeman and send that one forward too. But I've been kind of dragging my feet on that one just so that I know, what the FEMA deal is. So,
Okay.
I mean, because we can start, but if something were to go sideways with FEMA, then the board would have to eat all the costs. There would be no FEMA money. So I've been holding off on that until we do.
Rod?
Oh, yeah, otherwise that's it.
Not on the creek, but I've been dealing with FEMA last week and this week for the two culverts, I believe was lateral 2A and 1B maybe. It was one of them, A or B, one
Yep.
and two. And have everything uploaded in this grants portal, and this Latoya is back, and now she wants the pictures that I've sent a couple times. So I asked Carrie the other day about, because the auditor has all our FEMA papers, the state auditor. We brought it up to him one day. So I wasn't understanding that email. Did he already look at them?
So one of the auditors was done with them and the other one was not.
So we
and
got more than
They'll be
one.
done
Oh,
today.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the email, so that's fine. She said we could wait, but I've since went through all the files and I found the pictures, so get that finished today because I don't believe we've got any checks. One of them was 12,000 for lateral 2, which is 311th Street, right? That was lateral 2, and then lateral 1's 310. Over there, I believe, is a mile off the Meckling Oil and up in there anyway. I just don't remember the A and the B part.
And they were close, that was close to the headwaters, so
Right.
it wasn't much of a culvert.
Right,
project.
the one up on lateral 1 is only like a mile, just a little over a mile where it dumps into the Clay Creek.
Oh,
And the other one on 311, that has to run, must be 3 or 4 miles to Clay Creek. No, maybe not that. That's pretty close, all the way over just about to the bluff where that lateral dumps in. That one was that was like a 60-inch pipe. The one up north was like a 30-inch.
yeah.
And that's what I mean, that was, that's where we're having the trouble is the ditch board. When FEMA first started this, they didn't want to acknowledge the ditch board, but they didn't want to acknowledge the highway department. And it's just been a battle. But hopefully this week, we can maybe close out those two and then I'll leave the rest up to Brad.
Thanks.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Okay. And then since Rod wasn't here, the 14th of February is the annual meeting, correct?
Yes.
So
Oh, it was, yeah, okay.
14th.
That's it. Move to come out of ditch board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're in regular session.
All right, Drew. So we've got the first reading of ordinance 2022-16, which is an amendment. Correcting minimum lot size of campground facilities to read 2,500 square feet.
So we're compiling all the changes to the zoning ordinance over the last 3 years. When we were doing it, Seahawk and I, we noticed, Seahawk noticed. The lot size was wrong. I had 2,000. And then 2,500, 2,500, yeah. So we're just correcting that. And when it's done, we'll have all the zoning changes published. So, and then I think I'd like to re-adopt zoning ordinance again anyway. That's about it.
Do you have a date that you want the second reading?
The next meeting.
Next meeting? Move to set the second reading for February six or seven? Seventh. At what time, Carrie?
We can go 9:30.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, seems straightforward. All those
That was the seventh, is that we?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Right.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion carries. Thanks, Drew. Lane, got your quarterly report.
Before we get started, I'll tell Rod, as much frustration as you have with FEMA right now. New software is being implemented. And they're thinking we're going to have to put in preload all the structures.
Fun.
Just to let you know. My final date.
I was gonna say you give that information and then turn your back on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called Crisis Track. I'll get you the training schedule. First up is the quarterly report. I believe it was in your packet, so just need that approved.
Move to sign or move to authorize the chairman to sign.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.
Yay. Next up for the agenda, addition. Some I won't give you all the acronyms, I guess, but some funding became available to update our hazmat plan. I was originally gonna do a transportation study with it. But the DANR upgraded, I guess, is the requirements for some of these plans to fit more closely with federal regulations. So, contacted CCOG. The only price they could give me was $75 an hour, which doesn't tell you anything. So in doing some more research and talking with others, it's about a $5,000 or $6,000 plan is all. It's not too bad, but there's a 20% match with it. And this was completely off my radar last June during budget season. So worst case scenario, we're talking $1,000 to $1,500 potentially of unbudgeted money. Chances are a lot of that's going to be soft match, but I can't guarantee that right now. And I will probably have CCOG actually do the application process with it too. But if you all are okay with some unbudgeted money potentially come October or November, I'll get it started anyway.
All right, and so do you need a vote of approval for that?
That's up to you. If a consensus, I think, is fine with me, but it's whatever your regulations and rules are.
It can just come out of the commissioner's contingency, so.
Yeah.
It's budgeted.
Do you think several counties will be doing this too then, or?
It's basically the LEPC, so Dave's been there on it for a while. I get the impression that we're probably one of the more active in the area. And CCOG, Sophia said this will be the first one they've ever done. So I don't know that anybody else is jumping on this bandwagon as yet.
So we don't have a plan right now?
We do. It was originally written in 92, but I update it every year. So I've got it very close, but the feds came out with a new crosswalk of requirements. And if I can get some money to do it, it's better than me sitting there pulling my hair out for months. So, but
So that's part of what I was driving at. If there's several other counties doing this, we drug our feet just a little bit. It would probably-
right, I see what you're saying. There's a template out there somewhere. but-
Yes, yeah.
And there might be, maybe CCOG talks with their district and all of that, and,
Right.
you know, there may be some sharing of that kind of stuff.
So we're gonna be the guinea pig,
Not necessarily,
but is there a template?
not that I'm aware of.
Cause I don't think we should have to pay to help develop that. If they wanna negotiate that $75 down.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
That's
Yeah.
from CCOG, so.
yeah, but I mean, why should we have to pay to help develop something they don't have right now?
yeah, I don't know. I can ask Sophie that question, yes. So, okay. I can do that.
That you're fleshing out more the reason for my comment, I guess.
I mean, it's nice to get it done and be the first one, so nobody else is there,
Correct.
but I don't think we should have to pay for the education.
I hate being debated testers in anything.
I'll ask Sophie that question and just get back to y'all then.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. One other thing I don't, just wasn't on the agenda, but I don't know if Carrie told you all or not, but we went through and modified the mics. They're hot all the time now. So I've seen some of you pushing buttons that no longer matters. They're just on. So
That's good to know.
that's kind of what I thought. That way, you know. Do a handover kind of a thing if you need to.
I had
So-
forgotten about it, so I was one of those over here pushing buttons.
Yes. And back to the grant or the changing of the hazmat, I think in principle, I think that's something we do want to do. But,
I do too. It'll meet federal requirements that way.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
yeah, if we can lower the cost by dragging our feet a little bit, that'd be okay. But,
I got some of the information from Pierre, so for the cost wise. And they said 5,000 to 6,000 is a good thing for a hazmat plant. So somebody's done it, whether or not it follows this current crosswalk, I don't know.
How long is the current hazmat plan in pages roughly?
20.
Oh, okay. So it's relatively brief and
Yeah.
federal plans being
Yeah.
considered, so,
So 20 pages is a footnote.
yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alrighty.
thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lane. All right, so next on the agenda is visitors to be heard. Are any visitors to be heard who are not on the agenda for other reasons? All right, then we'll go on to Andy Howe, the panic button quote.
Is it in your packet?
Yeah.
Well, you might be aware that we've been looking at this. It kind of came from a request, that both the courts and the state's attorney's office and as well as the director of equalization will all accept, requested additional buttons. Cause they've got, just some people don't have accessibility to a button. You know, where maybe aware, courthouse offices can push a button and silently will alert dispatch there's a problem in that office. So, I reached out to Midwest Alarm and asked them, I think they installed the system way back in the early days, about what it takes to add buttons, and we can't add buttons to the current panel. It's antiquated and can't accept anymore. So essentially, we're looking at a new system, basically similar to what we have, although it has a lot more going on with it besides just buttons. But with the additional amount of buttons that were requested, I reached out to all the department heads, asked them how many they have and how many they need. And we went from 16 buttons in the courthouse to 38. And so essentially there's one on every desk except in the treasurer's office where they have so many people in, they didn't see a need to have one on every desk in the same room. So essentially every other desk in the courthouse will have one. This system also has the ability to have, alert us with, if it's wired in with smoke detectors, that we would get alerted if there was a fire and a few other things that would be possible with this system. So you have it in front of you there. It's
on my second page.
Is this a system you can take to the new building?
Well, this is in the courthouse.
This would be specifically. for
Yes, but
like-
it goes to you, goes to the sheriff's.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Dispatch, right?
it would go through the cloud.
Okay, that's what I'm,
The receiving end would go. with
yes,
this,
that's what
yes,
I meant,
yeah,
because.
In fact, it would have probably a receiver on this end and a receiver on that end, for somebody like Scott, maybe to know that there's something going on because there's fire related to it as well. But they did say, yeah, we would definitely be able to receive it there.
Is there a panic button in here, in this room then, on this quote?
Nope. Didn't come up. So 39.
I see in here on this, there's some wireless ones. Where would they?
They're all
be?
wireless.
Oh, they, okay, so it has belt clip. I was just wondering who was gonna carry them around.
No, it would make no sense to carry it around.
Okay.
Because it tells you on the receiving end, it has a location. The ones we have lanyards. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense for the button to go anywhere but where it's assigned. Otherwise, like if custodian has one walking around the building and push the button, what's that tell us? And so it has to be fixed somewhere.
And it says here that it's. You can add as many as you want with this.
Yeah, apparently we're not so limited. But, yeah, I think the idea of having one here is an oversight that we never talked about. We're just reached out to department heads and that never came up.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's similar to what we have. It's got a repeater built in just because of the density of the courthouse. We went with the 2-button like what we have now. But I don't have any funding for it. It's not in my budget. I just kind of made the phone calls and made the connections. This is something that the county offices had requested. And so I just trying to help facilitate it for you. And if something you want to spend 8,000 again, 8264 plus another $86 if we had one in here. Unless we diminish the number somehow, if you want to know more about where the buttons would be, and if you want to change the request from the department heads. I talked a few of them up, because I recommended the offices that have vaults, have one in their vault. And, all the ones with counters will have one at their counter. And then those that have people sitting at their desk will have one at their desk, except in the treasurer's office.
So we do have one in each vault then?
If we don't now, but we will.
But we would.
Yes, I just thought that might be
Yeah, it's
a good thing
Yeah.
if they could step in there and just push the button, and pull the door shut behind them if they need to.
Yeah, perfect. How many in the treasurer's office then? Like 3 or 4 or?
They're only requesting 3. Actually, they requested 1, but I talked them up to 3 now.
Yeah.
That way it'd be 1 in Rhonda's office, 1 in the vault, 1 at the counter.
Yeah,
Just one at the counter?
Yeah.
There's Nobody's at the counter.
probably have
Is
it
it-
halfway between the windows under the desk, I assume, so.
If you try to put one at desk, you'll never have it at the right desk.
No,
So you either have to put it at the right desk or all the desks. And so the idea is if you're at the counter, but they've got somebody sitting right by the vault to quickly step into the vault. We're gonna be doing training for the courthouse offices again for hostile customer, active shooter. We do that every so often. We're gonna be doing that again and try to remind everybody when and why to push the button and when not to push the buttons. It's no source of defense. It's not gonna defend you from anything. It's just gonna summon help. So the buttons aren't necessarily a safety issue, and it's not gonna protect you. It's just gonna get help coming.
How to discreetly push a button too, I imagine.
so clerk of courts has one. Does the judge have one?
Yeah, the clerk of courts, I forget the number that they requested, but there's quite a few. They've got one on every bench, court reporters, every desk in their office. Back hallway, court reporter office, judge's office. There's a lot of them on the 3rd floor. They want a lot of buttons.
Makes sense.
So
So Carrie, where,
What's that?
Yeah.
this would go, this cost would be assigned
I don't know if that would be
to
appropriate or
the-
not.
building?
They have a
Yeah, and I
bailiff
think,
outside.
if it's something that you wanted to take out of the building project money, we could do that.
I mean, that seems to
Definitely
make
is a
the most
project within-
sense.
In the courthouse, so.
Yeah. Yeah. That
How
would-
much money is in that building project fund?
I think there's a couple $100,000 left after what we've got kind of in the works planned with the HVAC and all that. So,
Yeah, I think that'd be an appropriate use of the funding. So would somebody like to make a motion?
Well, Dave had a question about
Okay.
the jury room.
Yeah.
And I don't know about the jury room. I don't think it's a bad thought, except that they wouldn't be trained. I don't know if it'd be appropriate for the jury to have one, but if other people are using that room. I don't know
And
that'd
and
be
if you didn't
appropriate.
explain it to them every time, they would have no idea what the button was for.
No. Yeah, and they would holler for the bailiff if there was an issue, and there shouldn't be an issue in there, other than some other call for help for another purpose, and the bailiff would be right outside the room. So I just. You know, we do monthly tests and even still, there are people that need to be reminded how to do it, how to push the button, so. I don't think we could bring the jury up to speed at all.
And if the building project up there goes through, that'll be a secure hallway anyway,
Yeah.
correct? So.
What's the, so if we had 39 and then we decided we wanted like 2 or 3 more because we realized we're missing, is it just the cost of the unit and then like an hourly charge or
Yeah,
something
I'm
to
sure
program
there'd
it
be
in?
some
So not-
programming work,
Okay.
yeah. Installation's nothing, you two-sided tape, but I'm sure there'd be some configuration. These are, you know, they're radio transmitters, so that's why we can't just keep adding, and that radio frequency is already taken, and so we need a new system, but they can add more under that same frequency. He recommended that we consider the smoke alarms that right now they're wirelessly connected, but he said he can get essentially using those, that there's essentially a ring that goes around the smoke alarm, and that would transmit to this system if there was a fire received. But he looked at it, he said, this courthouse, you need a lot of smoke detectors to be compliant. But we can use the ones we have, but he said, like on the first floor, he recommended 3 smoke detectors to be compliant on the first floor, just because the hallway the ceiling has the little decorations that
Yeah.
drop down the foot.
But the smoke detectors are coming with the HVAC and sprinkler system project, right? So that'll all work
That'll be
together.
another deal then, so that might not be tied to this. But he can tie our current ones to this, so. And this will do, there's other things it'll do. I said, no, we're just looking for the buttons. And so that's where we're at, but the receiver and the transmitter have more capabilities, just for future reference.
So we have 2 repeaters that are involved in it so far.
I think one will be in the basement, one will be in the second floor.
Yeah.
Then in 2 years, we'd need a third one.
They're $300 a piece. We had to add one, I suppose.
I
We
don't,
wouldn't add that much.
I don't think we'll need to add one. I don't know what would we add in 2 years?
Um,
Unless,
Leave the repeater here now. but
Yep.
unless you had buttons in the safety center for offices over here, I suppose they have buttons, and that might require a repeater, but other than reaching us, that's gonna go via the internet.
Yeah.
Great.
But yeah, I imagine we would probably add buttons over here. if We had county offices move over here.
yeah, and that's almost certain to happen.
Yeah.
but that's.
And so
we're
that's
not gonna
very
know for
doable.
another few years.
$86 a button.
Yeah.
Are they cheaper without the belt clip then? I mean, is it a different type of button?
I don't think so.
They'll put discount.
Is there maintenance like batteries to these things?
Yeah. Yeah, we do that.
So
Scott's kind of taken that over now, but it used to be kind of my thing.
it's just a regular.
We do monthly tests, and when they don't work, we replace the battery.
All right.
I'll make a motion to go forward with the panic button upgrade.
Second that.
Is that presuming a 39 buttons instead of 38,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
including this room? Okay.
right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thanks. A good upgrade. A courthouse security committee, the jury project. Jury room project. Yeah, made it just in the nick of time.
If you want, you could sit next to Andy if that's easier.
I didn't figure you let me sneak away, so. I'll stay.
Well, hopefully this won't be too painful. Well, thank you for having me again. So to catch up the new commissioners, we presented, the Courthouse Security Committee presented a grant application to the commission, which provides needed renovations to the third floor to address security concerns. There's a statewide committee that will fund 75% of the cost. The county has to do the other 25%. So the presiding judge of the circuit approved it, the commission approved it. I met with the statewide committee. It went well. They're interested in funding both projects. They had two concerns, which I'm addressing with you today. One of which I explained the history of the courthouse and the failed bond measure. And that prompted them to ask me to do this, check in with the county commission and or historical folks in town to ensure there are no issues with changes in the building should the projects move forward. It was on the front page of the Plain Talk after we approved it, so I think the proposal is well known and there was significant costs budgeted in for the replication of the historical aspects of the courtroom. So I feel like those have been addressed, but if the commission wants me to do anything else, I'm happy to do that.
I haven't had any concerns voiced to me.
And did anybody reach out after the article?
I think we're okay there.
And I feel comfortable with it as well. The other one was, they requested that we remove from the grant application, the kitchenette, which they have the reasonable position that that's not a security item, which I understand. So there was a $3,750 line item for construction of a kitchenette, which I didn't catch, and I probably should have, in the jury room, which I think was just cabinets and a sink and a counter, which I don't feel that we need. I don't think that's a necessary part of the renovation. But they requested we remove that. So I did do an addendum, removing that. Like I said, it just reduces it $3,750. The presiding judge has approved that amendment, and if the commission is comfortable with that, I'll resubmit.
Well, I'm thinking, I asked Scott about this morning too, again, but for the additional 3750, I'm wondering if we should just leave it in and the county would pick up that difference for discussion anyway. To leave the kitchenette project in, and we would pick up that money.
So what's the purpose of the kitchenette? I mean, what's
I
it
think
gonna serve?
just that when the jurors are deliberating to have access to, that we do have a small refrigerator in there. Which we stock with drinks and things. So I guess this would maybe be a bigger refrigerator and have a sink so they can get water and
Make coffee.
whatever, yeah. And we do put a coffee maker in there. So
Yeah, I think.
I don't have strong feelings either way.
Yeah, I think the main difference would be the sink, where they have the means to kind of keep things clean and orderly in there, at least as if they have long deliberations, it cuts down the number of times they would have to leave the room for any reason, that sort of thing is where I would see that it'd be a difference.
But there'll be a sink in the bathroom.
There is a sink in the bathroom.
Won't be very big.
So I'm just gonna chime in on this, and I think it's a great idea if you guys are willing. I think in the grand scheme of things, $3,700 is not that much money. I think long-term, this is one of those things where when you don't do it, you look back and wish that you would have. I mean, if we're gonna do construction, if we're going to update these things, I just think it's a functional aspect of the building. And I think precisely the reasons that have been identified from a standpoint of making coffee. having to go all the way down to the basement to fill up water to make coffee. Is it possible? Sure. It's hard to, I don't fill up our coffee pot in the sink in the bathroom. Number one, from a sanitary reason, and number two, from just a functional trying to get that under the sink in the bathroom. So I think, and then from a cleanliness standpoint, these deliberations do take time. And there's food after they begin deliberating that's provided to them. And so I think when we're looking at coming in and just cleaning up in the aftermath of things, a sink is just a really functional deal, but also understand it is prudent that it's not a part of security. It's just a part of, I think, maintenance of the courthouse. So I would appreciate that just from a standpoint of things.
And thanks for fleshing out my idea.
One thing I did know when I was going through the application, because I wanted to remove everything associated with the kitchenette, I noticed there hadn't been any plumbing item added as a line item for plumbing of the sink.
Well, that was my question, Scott.
Well,
You probably know better.
Yeah,
How
that,
difficult is this gonna run drain and supply?
well, if we're gonna revamp that bathroom there now in the jury's room, that wall's gonna be open. Now's the time to put it in there, even for future, even if you decide it's 20 years down the road. It's there for future. Cause all the plumbing is gonna get moved to that. I gotta get my wall straight. The west wall, the toilet will be on the west wall, the sink will be on the west wall. That room's gonna get larger by about 50 inches. That bathroom.
And you, this might have been talked about, is that step up going away?
Yes,
Okay.
that's was our main goal. Was to get rid of that. And that'll all be, that'll all be down below the ceiling on second floor. But there'll be a drop ceiling in there, so you won't see anything exposed, but yeah, the wall's open. Now's the time to get your drain lines, your water lines in there. For this kitchenette, even if like I said, if it's down the road a ways.
Cause it's gonna be a handicap accessible bathroom, correct?
Yes, and I did,
If,
I don't know if it
is
would
handic-
technically meet
right,
the ADA requirements, but functionally,
right.
we anticipate it will be able to serve that
You,
purpose.
I mean, you gotta meet certain specs.
But don't we have to? I mean, we got by because this is an old building, but when you remodel, I thought you had to come up to.
I think, I'm not a lawyer.
Well, Pete's did the plans.
If it's there's some clause in there about, if the cost becomes burdensome or whatever, over whatever, you don't have to. I mean, I don't know what you do in a building this age, because if you wanted to get that ADA compliant, you're gonna have to really open it up. I mean, I guess that's an option, but then you're gonna swallow up a lot of that room. Would a person in a wheelchair be able to get in there and function? It's gonna be tight. I can't add that 50 inches and still get what they want for width in there.
Are we at least gonna have a bigger door?
Can have,
I mean, we should probably try and, yeah.
I-
If we're not gonna put it to code, we better do as much as we can.
I think.
without-
Just by going by memory, I think it's 32 inches. I don't remember if it's just 32 or 36. I can measure that door up there. That door might even be there. I mean, it's nice if you can get out to 42-inch doors, because then you really got some room.
Right, because you're gonna remove the wall anyway, right?
Right,
So
right,
is it gonna be just a single open toilet?
right.
So you won't have any stalls for grab rails or anything?
No,
But you can mount the
You-
grab rail to the wall.
you'd have, you would have. You'd have. Once again, I get my direction, you'd have a grab bar on the side wall and the back wall. You could put one there. For the toilet, yeah, but to say. You gotta have so much room so they can turn around a wheelchair. With
Right.
that, we're not gonna get, but we can get as close as we can. I mean, I know at SESDAC, we did some stuff there. And got as compliant as we could. There are some steps that used to go up some of them houses. We took those out and had sidewalks put in on a gradual incline. We did the best we can to get there. I mean,
So I mean,
Yeah.
but the grab bars and an oversized door will We'll do a lot, I think.
right, right,
And if the door swings out, that would help too.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
So for my purposes, I need approval to remove the 3750 for the kitchenette.
We'd remove that from the grant and then leave it in the overall project. That would work, right, Judge Byrne?
Yes.
Is that a motion?
I'd move, so moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you, folks.
Thanks.
1 week early.
And I guess we don't have Matt Callahan here today. So let's see, has everybody had a chance to go through vouchers and payroll?
Yeah, what's our $25,000 snow machine? Scott, is that working out well for us then?
yeah, we put it to good use. To say the least. Yeah, I mean, didn't time it the other day, Sunday, when I was out here moving 9 inches of snow, but we could go down below and knock that sidewalk out in pretty short order, so. Yeah, I think it's great. We can blow with it, we can broom with it. It came with a brine tank, so I had the boom installed on it, so we can put down the brine. Liquid versus granular. There's time and a place for both of those. But yeah, it's working out well.
So it came with those attachments, the broom and the snow blower?
There's additional purchase costs, obviously, for each attachment.
Oh, you don't have those.
I do have those
Oh, you do have
attachments, yeah. The unit was, the tractor, as they call it, was, I think, 13 something, and then,
Okay, but all for that 25,000.
Right, yeah.
Does it
Yep.
actually work really well?
yeah, it does.
Does it push and move?
Yeah, I mean, it'll blow the snow across the street if you wanted to, so, yeah, it'll push it out along,
That's
it'll
great.
blow it out a long ways, which I'm glad I went with the blower and the broom instead of a blade. Cause obviously we're running out of places to push stuff this year, so,
Yeah, the blower is an important component of that.
Yeah. so yeah, it's worked out great on the sidewalks. I've tried it out in the parking lots a little bit on some of the smaller snow amounts we've had, which are few and far between, so, yeah, it's coming great.
So if we get snow like we've been getting, are we gonna have to start hauling it out of this parking lot?
We already have hauled
Okay.
once. I had them push it back once off the courthouse parking lot. And last week I had them here to haul out of the courthouse parking lot, the PD parking lot, and where the sheriff's department parks. And at the end of the drive is trying to keep them knocked down too, so people can see getting in and out. So when they pushed it back, it was less than $200. I'm not sure what the bill will be for hauling it out. But I did have it hauled out last week or the week before. That big storm hit on Thursday.
So who's hauling it out?
Walkers. Had Walkers haul it out.
Wouldn't that be something that we could do?
Well, I thought about that. And well, I guess I thought about that when we pushed back. But that was on a Saturday. I guess I never even thought about it as far as hauling out, getting hold of rods. So yeah, maybe I could get hold of him in the future and see how that works out for them.
Yeah, it was probably at a kind of a bad time for them. They're probably pretty busy.
Well, that might be too.
Well, we wouldn't be hauling it out the same day that it snowed.
Right.
We'd have to pile it
Right.
They'd
And
have to
that,
get
and that's what we did.
and then
You
they'd
know.
have to come in when they're not plowing.
Yeah.
I piled it up as high as I.
And
This
you
guy
had to
could,
move it on Saturday.
what's that?
You had to move it on Saturday, right?
When I had the pile pushed back that one time, they came in and did it on a Saturday when the
Yeah.
lot was empty, yeah.
Yeah.
But when we hauled out, I don't know, I think it was on a Monday. And just blocked off with cones, parking spots, so they could get in there with their loader and their trucks, and then they hauled it out. But I can work with Rod in the future on that, see if we can
Yeah.
come up with something. I probably need to work with them to get some of that snow hauled off that north lot, so it's not such a mess over there when the thaw comes.
Yeah, that
So-
could be done anytime, but
Right,
the snow hauling is probably best done when the lot doesn't have a lot of cars in it, so. You know, there again, we could end up paying.
Yeah, but
overtime to have-
all we just gotta make sure the north lot is clear or
Yeah.
the streets, employees. We'll just have to block off our parking lot
Yeah.
until it gets cleared out and then nobody can park in there.
yeah,
see,
I
sure.
clear that north lot every time it snows. I keep it pushed back so we can get in and out of there if we need it. So. Yeah,
I mean, it's an inconvenience to the employees for that day or half a day, but
Yeah,
it's probably what's gonna have to be done.
okay, I can work with Rod on that. Give him a call.
See if he,
So-
he's open to it or whatever. but
Okay,
I just hate to pay somebody else with the equipment we have.
yeah, okay. I'll work it out.
Anything else on vouchers?
Move to approve.
second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we've had a few discussions with Dick Strasberg and he recommends that we formally appoint Travis to represent the commission on the law enforcement center and jail project. So would somebody like to make?
I'll make a motion to approve. So
Second.
point Travis.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Who seconded? Sorry, I
I
missed that.
did.
Okay.
Any discussion from Travis, I guess?
Nope, we've been going to the meetings, so
Okay,
we're still up to
Thank you.
date.
thanks.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantage to continuity there. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. See contracts for building project. I'm not sure. what
So
that-
Dick sent that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His contract is the one we got on Friday, I believe it was, or Saturday.
Saturday, I think.
I think there was just the one change. We don't have to make that decision today. He had to go to a doctor's appointment today, so he's not available. He said waiting till next Tuesday. Talked to Lexi, she has not gonna,
I agree with you, Shane. I'm comfortable with it. It's consistent with what we anticipated, certainly from a cost perspective in the past. I think they've been very valuable through this process, so
okay.
my review of it is, I'm gonna.
And I'm okay with it, with his. We also received the architect contract yesterday. That one I would not approve today. I haven't looked at it at all. We've had who's the attorney in Sioux Falls that's doing it, Lex?
And I did see that his engagement letter update is in your guys' packet. too,
Mhm.
and that one I'm good with this. Well, because we did. a couple things.
Okay, so whatever you want to do with the architect contract. Dick said he could explain it next week. Hopefully we'll have the construction companies contract also by next week. So, like I said, I haven't looked at the architect's contract yet. So however you want to handle it, if,
I did not look at either of those. I figure the guy who. is the
Right.
expert is the one inviting us. I know he's been working hard on that.
so I guess personally, we can approve the Tegra contract, which is Dick Strasberg's. But if we could wait a week on the architect contract.
Makes sense.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Yeah. So this contract, the contract you made the motion about is which one?
Approved.
Tegra? Okay.
Contract, but not
Okay.
the.
Okay,
Not JLG's.
okay, so we have a motion to approve the Tegra contract solely, and we have a second. Is there any discussion?
So just in case anybody listening is wondering, Tegra is the county's construction or consultant, sorry.
Construction manager.
Not the construction, the owner's representative.
Owner's representatives, correct me, yes.
There are consultant and then, and this is the addendum to our original.
Yes.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then we'll put the other contracts on the agenda for next week.
Can we add just a discussion for future? How do we wanna, any updates on the building, the building project, just so it's on there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to add it every
So
time.
maybe put it on every week.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
put it on until the
Yeah.
project's done and just leave it under discussion if, I mean, it's gonna be if needed, I guess, like we do with
Yep.
executive session
That
and
makes sense.
Building progress discussion.
That sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, Woods Fuller contract. Oh, that's the architect's contract.
No, that's
No,
the
sorry.
attorney that has been reviewing the contracts, right, Lexi?
So
Why
this
don't
is
we-
just, we had contracted with them for a specific amount way back before the first, failed election vote there. And so if they reach that capped amount, then they will need to come back and visit with us about additional funds. So all of those hadn't necessarily been expended. He's been continuing to work on things for us and just finalizing everything. Then there was this additional fees and we needed to update this engagement letter with him to continue to operate that. You know, their fees have gone up somewhat since we initially engaged, which isn't surprising, everything has. So I took a look at that. I made a couple of suggested, requested tweaks to that, and it appears to me they took those, so that was good. So I'm comfortable with this. And we'll just leave it at that if you guys are willing to entertain signing that for the additional fees to complete the rest of the contract reviews.
so moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And now we're on to password management software.
So, last year, as part of our cybersecurity evaluation that DSU did, they recommended some sort of a password management software, for the county. And, just kind of got put on the back burner towards the end of the year. And so Erickson's has recommended this quote for, 1Password. It would, cover each of the county users and also kind of just as a free bonus, give them a personal account as well for their own use. And I guess I would just need approval if you all are in favor of that.
Isn't this what we discussed last year after they got done? They said there was an issue, but it was only because their computers were hooked to our server. That there was a
Right.
password problem.
Yep.
So we didn't think that we needed this. So I was wondering why.
Erickson still recommends it. We have had a few attempts lately, particularly with the state's attorney's office computers, to get into their emails and things. They weren't successful, but they still recommend that we do that so that since we have such sensitive information,
Okay.
we're protected.
And that's 75 or how much? 2,700?
The vulnerability really is that when we don't necessarily update passwords regularly and that sort of thing.
There's a lot of different, yeah, you could have a not strong enough one to start with, you could not
Yeah.
update them enough, you could use them across too many different services. You know, you could have similar passwords going in like, you know, some little formula you use every time you make a password and then some AI somewhere hacks it and then you're in big trouble. But at the credit union, I think one of the things that, you know, came across our desk is the most concerning is spear phishing stuff. I think that that's something really important to make sure that people are very careful about. I was hearing about stories of, big organizations where spearfishing would occur, so someone would get into somebody's email and then they wouldn't do anything, they just watch until they had a real clear idea of the way the organization worked, and then they'd say, looks like it's coming from the CEO, you gotta get a wire ready for us, it's gotta go out by 4 o'clock today. And then suddenly like $300,000 is some crazy huge amounts, there's some huge issues there, so this would address one thing, I think passwords are one thing, but.
Yeah, and there's also ransomware, which has been happening to counties. Where somebody gets in and locks the system up and, it just can't be unlocked and.
Hutchinson County had that happen a couple of years ago and they lost everything.
So this at least address one of those primary vulnerabilities we have.
Do we do some sorts of cyber training for the county employees for cybersecurity training? Is that something that's right?
Gosh, it seems to me that Erickson's did something back when they first took over, but it's probably time to have them do it again.
The threats advance really quickly. I mean, boy, there's a lot of professionals out there trying to break into your stuff.
Safety
Okay, 24/7.
Safety benefits also has a online class for it that is part of our required safety things when people are first hired, or supposed to be anyway.
It'd make sense to make that a, every year reminder event because people get into habits and it's so much easier just to use your same old password every time.
And they do require us, since Ericsson has taken over, to change our password quite frequently. Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of, so that is good, but we did still have some bizarre, I think we're pretty good about reporting on to them, like, this seems weird. And it was concerning, our latest situation, because who cares what we do, right? Like, who's gonna, but yeah, there were multiple attempts to try to log in to various users' accounts in our office, and I was glad we reported on concerns for them. Just something slightly odd, but then they went in and found.
Yeah, I worry if we might be kind of at a risky scale of a county, where we're large enough that there's some big money and there's things that people could really get a hold of, but also small enough that we probably don't have a big IT security staff on top of things, so, yeah. And we've got a lot of public facing things saying that we're here, so, if you're sitting in, I don't know, Russia and scanning the internet, we're obviously out here, and there's
I guess maybe you're just scaring me just enough.
I had a really suspicious email come through over the weekend too, and it was very convincing. If I hadn't known the person and if I hadn't known that they would know there was not an election going on. I mean, it was a request for an absentee ballot and it was, it was not legitimate, but if I hadn't seen those flags, it could have very easily passed through.
Well, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, department reports to be placed on file was in everybody's packet. Got
You don't
any
need a motion
questions
for
or?
that. I just have to stick them in there for you guys to review, so.
Any questions about executive, or do we need an executive session? Yeah, Drew's saying yes.
I have one quick thing before
Okay.
we do that. if-
Okay,
And it's more of a, an informational consensus type of thing right now. There's a few things in our personnel manual that are just gonna need to be updated. And one of those things kind of came up when we created Scott's department. We never really considered the fact that we've never done our own snow removal before. And so when the courthouse was closed, Joan never had to report to work. Like everybody else just kind of stays home and they have that snow day. now, you know, she's helping with the snow, Scott's doing the snow, so we just kind of needed to have some sort of consensus, updated policy or whatever about how you want to treat that. I mean, are we gonna treat it like the highway department where you know, they're expected to be at work when it snows, to get that snow removed? I think it would be pretty hard to have her stay home and have Scott take care of the snow by himself. I mean, it's a big job. So we just kind of needed something, general consensus, so that we can get something in the personnel manual about that.
Any discussion?
So if you close the courthouse and they gotta come in and move snow, it should either be time and a half for that person or a comp day, correct?
Technically, she doesn't fall under the salaried exempt category, so yes, I think that would be like if it was additional to the 40 hours a week or whatever.
I wouldn't recommend time and a half unless she goes over 40 hours, but if she just
Right.
comes in for a Wednesday when the courthouse is closed. I can tell you what I do for my people, because we work regardless, unless they don't. If I've got my secretary, she'll stay home if the courthouse is closed. But if I've got deputies that are working anyway, what I do is I add that to their holiday balance. The same amount of hours that the other county employees were off paid, that they would get that additional time. And the same thing goes if it happens to be their day off, or if they're, on a night shift or something like that. The courthouse closing really is not relevant to us. We're gonna be there anyway, weekends, Christmas Day and whatever. So the deputies just get a different day off in effect. So that's what I do. I track their holidays because they don't necessarily take their holidays on the day the courthouse is closed. And so we just add an additional 8 hours, or if the courthouse closes at 3 o'clock, 2 hours to their holiday balance. So that, I think Rod does something like that. We've talked about it in the past. I think that he does something like that for his people, that they're gonna work when the courthouse closed and not get that paid time off that the rest of the county employees get. And so I recommend that for Scott and Joan as well. It works real well for us. You have to keep track, but I've got a spreadsheet and I keep track.
So you just comp time, basically.
Comp time is time and a half, and this wouldn't be time and a half because it's just straight. Yeah,
Straight 8 hours.
Yep.
Whatever hours.
the only reason it'd be comp time if it exceeds 40 for the week.
And that's kind of what we're dealing with anyway, because if the courthouse is closed, it's generally during the week when she would typically be at work. So typically wouldn't be over 40 hours. Unless we had a really big storm and, it took forever to get things cleared off, but
I think,
We came in Sunday.
yeah, I was gonna say she probably would in that case, because it was on the weekend.
right.
Cause we come in Monday morning to shovel sidewalks, so obviously somebody was here doing it.
But our employees handbook complies with everything you guys are doing at this point.
I don't think it's in there. Just do it out of sense of equity to the employees.
Yeah, I don't think it's in there, and I think Karen recommended that it be in there and that we have like each department laid out how it's handled. Since there are some that are different, obviously. So that's kind of why I needed a consensus, so that we know what to write up to put in there for a revision to the handbook.
Yeah, that might be a good agenda item for a department head meeting too.
And I mean, I think the policies are probably all good, and they've all been that way forever, except Scott's department, because there was no department before.
But we kind of got to make a decision on Joan's situation right now before you get to another department head meeting.
Yeah,
If you're updating policy number, does that need to be an agenda item?
it does, but I just need to know how to write it up. I mean, what, kind of a consensus of what they're intending, and then it would be, I could get it written up and get it on an agenda to be approved.
I like the consistency across departments. I think if this is working well there and working well on the highway, I think a similar system for Joe. makes
I'd be
sense.
happy
those-
In the short term, I can work with Scott and how we keep track of ours holidays, and I don't know if you need a policy change to compensate her for the working Sunday. That's just overtime.
She usually takes comp time.
That works.
Which is in the policy book.
So use the other two departments as a template to help write that policy.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not, I'm not against giving them time and a half overtime for snow removal when it's outside of the 40 anyway. It's pretty distasteful work. I figured that out again this week.
When it's in excess of 40, it definitely would be. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've talked about, the deputies that are out working in the bad roads when everybody else stays home, but that's the job. And we're not asking for additional pay for that. That's our job. And yeah.
Same in the maintenance department, you gotta do what you gotta do, it's not pleasant.
So Carrie, does that give you enough to go on?
I think it does. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great. All right, so it sounds like the last thing is executive session.
Yeah, we did have a joint jurisdiction meeting scheduled for last night, but it was postponed. Anything to add, Drew?
We have a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation.
Okay, 1 second. What's it referring to? Okay, so just, I'm recusing myself right now, leaving the meeting. Make a motion, go in executive session.
I'll second.
It's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we'll wait. Right, entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we're out of executive sessions. So if there's no other business to come before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Next.
I was in the early 80s after we were combined, I was asked